The Fifth Estate ran a segment on how a failed deal with China to produce a made-in-Canada COVID-19 vaccine was wasted months and millions of dollars. At the same time, Canada gives around $7 million to the Chinese in 2020. This is the Great White North Report. So the Fifth Estate did an article segment, and it talks about how Canada tried to partner with China to produce a made-in-Canada vaccine. Now, Trudeau, for some reason, decided to partner with China in order to get this done, and he promised to deliver a made-in-Canada vaccine, but that has not materialized. So this failed collaboration led to a delay of nearly 2 years in efforts to create a made-in-Canada vaccine. Made the pandemic worse than it had to be in Canada. This is a failure of the Liberal government, and it's something that other political opposition parties never hammered the Liberals on. And government documents obtained by the Fifth Estate show that Canadian officials wasted months waiting for a proposed vaccine to arrive from China for further testing and spent millions upgrading a production facility that never made a single dose of a vaccine. So there goes your taxpayer money right there. National Research Council of Canada signed an agreement with Tianjin-based CanSino Biologics in early May 2020 to fast-track the availability of a COVID-19 vaccine in Canada for emergency pandemic use. Seriously, we want anything made in China as our vaccine? If you're lucky, it's only 50% effective. Ask developing nations how well it's worked for them to get a Chinese vaccine. The CanSino vaccine, which had been created by the scientific research arm of China's military, was to be shipped to Canada for human trials that May. Again, allowing China's military to do something. Right. And it was going to be manufactured at a temporary facility in Montreal that the NRC had committed $44 million to upgrade. So there goes $44 million of your hard-earned money. What a waste. This is why it's sometimes better to have private companies make something, because then they have a responsibility to their shareholders to come up with something, as opposed to the government, who doesn't have a lot of liability. And I don't know why the Conservatives, the NDP, the Greens, and whatever party, fringe parties are, didn't hammer the Liberals on this. It's like we have short-term memory loss in this country. So the NRC was gearing up for production even before the contract was signed and the human trials had started, estimating it could be manufacturing doses by the summer of 2020. We're now in 2021 and we haven't seen a thing. It would be producing doses for human trials in Canada, then later, according to the contract, for frontline responders and Canadians as soon as they are available. Well, that never materialized, and they were hoping to get 70,000 to 100,000 doses per month. But it turns out the vaccine they were going to use was stuck in China. Again, I wouldn't have taken it. Something designed in China, I would never have taken. They have a very sketchy past when it comes to their vaccines. Wonderful leader Trudeau at the time announced the deal to Canadians on May 16, 2020. But of course, I think I've already covered this. The federal government memo later that same month reveals the Canadian embassy in Beijing was still working to get the vaccine cleared by Chinese customs. This is at the time we were holding Meng Wanzhou, by the way, and covering its path where we were sitting in a prison. Like, the only way we were going to get that vaccine was if we released Meng. Why? Because that same day, May 27th, Meng Wanzhou lost an appeal to the BC Supreme Court arguing against her arrest in Canada. That's what happened. It was a political game. We didn't release Meng, so the Chinese didn't release the vaccine. And I don't know why the Conservatives didn't hammer the Liberals on this during the election, saying it was clear by May 2020 that China was not a reliable partner. Hell, they've been not a reliable partner for decades. When are we going to face that fact? And what happened afterwards? Cover and Spavor were charged with espionage. Thankfully, they're home now because the U.S. dropped the Meng case, and the NRC was still hoping that CanSino would be released and they can commit, as they were committed to Canadian clinical trials. I would not want any Canadians injected with a Chinese vaccine. Turns out they're still working on manufacturing the plans, despite the fact that the vaccine had not yet been approved to be shipped from China to Canada. And the whole thing was really vaccine diplomacy. China was willing to give the vaccine to countries where it could call in favors, because Canada wasn't going to favor China by releasing Meng. They weren't going to release the vaccine. And it took our glorious government months, wasted time, to realize that it was a political thing and not a humanitarian issue or a paper issue. And of course, Trudeau lied, saying the facility in Montreal would be enabled the preliminary production of 250,000 doses of vaccine per month starting in November 2020. That has never happened because we didn't have a vaccine partner. Instead of partnering up with Johnson & Johnson or Pfizer, we decided to go right to China. And he misled the Canadian public on this. And, for some reason we didn't hammer him this. The media didn't hammer him, the Liberals, on this come election day. And to this very day, no vaccines have been produced at the NRC facility. So $44 million of your hard-earned money just went down the drain. Now they're hoping to get vaccines produced there in 2022 at the earliest. And now we're going to partner up with Novavax, even though that has not been approved by Health Canada yet. We're in a no-win situation. Unreal how our government works. This is why you don't want too much government. Now, the Fifth of the State interview had CanSino CEO Dr. Zhufang Wu, and he's claiming that he doesn't know why vaccines weren't allowed to be sent to Canada, which is BS. He pretty much knows. And he's proud that the vaccine is going into millions of arms around the world. Yeah, right. It's been at less than 50% effectiveness. It's nothing. Now, this company CEO, he has roots in Canada's pharmaceutical industry. His family, who still lives in Toronto, his research work with China's military. So this guy's already a CCP member living in Canada. Something's not right there, and we should be getting rid of those kind of people. He sees them as collaborators. It's just a research institute, right? No, not when it comes to the CCP. I see him as a collaborator. A little quisling if he lives here in Canada and he's working for them. So when CBC originally did this interview with their freelance camera crew, packed up their gear at CanSino Biologics offices in Tianjin, it was seized, and it was heavily deleted or heavily edited and given back 10 days later. Now the Fifth Estate one, they recorded the entire interview from Toronto, so you get to see the whole thing. But it would have been interesting to see the entire CBC one. I don't know why they didn't upload it right away on a VPN. Now, what's amazing me is the Canadian scientists and labs are still supporting the CanSino's COVID-19 vaccine, which is being used in at least 9 countries. Yeah, look at the countries they're being used in. Brazil, Indonesia, and the Philippines aren't having much luck. It turns out that our Center for Vaccinology in Halifax continues to work with CanSino with Dr. Halperin, running the company's Phase 3 global trials on a $3.5 million contract. So there's another $3.5 million gone, and it's never going to come to Canada. Then it stands to reason, why the hell did we give China $7 million in 2020 as part of our foreign aid package? I don't understand that theory. They're holding 2 Canadians hostage, and they created a global pandemic thanks to their own stupidity, and yet we gave these clowns $7 million of your hard-earned money. So why the hell did we vote this clown back in? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and until next time, this has been the Great White North Report.